So anyway, first of all, thank you all very much. I thought all of your comments were very constructive, very passionate, and every one of them was very expected. So I can only tell you this again and be judged by our actions. I'm completely and totally committed to the proposition that the recovery of New Orleans cannot begin, it can't end unless we rebuild the lower nine. That's my opinion. Now, thank you. That's first. Secondly, I hear a lot. I hear it all over the city. It's been 6 years and we still don't. It's been 6 years and we still don't. It's been 6 years and we still don't. I don't want to speak about what happened before you blessed me with being the mayor of the city of New Orleans. I can only speak to you about what's happened in the last year, what didn't happen, and then where we're going. Fair enough? All right. Now, I'll tell you there are a couple of things that really frustrate me, and my team can tell you this. By the way, everybody on my team that's from New Orleans, will y'all please stand up? Okay. Everybody that's not from New Orleans, could y'all please stand up? Okay. Jerry, you're from New Orleans. Nanette, you're from New Orleans. She from... Nanette, why did you stand up? Where are you from? How long you been living in New Orleans? 30 years. Now, that's a real New Orleans girl, right? She was born kind of by Opelousas and Lafayette. She's been here 30 years, and she's not from here. Miss Millie, can we say she's from here? No. Luella said no. So, I know, she said no. So, in any event, one of the things that just frustrates me to no end is how long things take, right? Now, some of that could be because we slow. Some of it could be because people say we don't care. Neither one of those things is true. First of all, we're not slow, and we really do care. And we work every day, and we work hard. Now, there are some things that are happening. Remember, I talked about systems in government, things that didn't work. Not being able to count, not knowing how many cars we had, not knowing who owed us money, not having a computer system that worked. You know this, Professor, right? Not having issues. So one of the things that makes me crazy in the United States of America, all over the country, and particularly here, is how long it takes to build things. Now, Cedric, where are you? A deputy mayor for infrastructure. A guy that knows this system well. I talk to him all the time about why it takes so long to design something and to get it in line and to actually build it. John Williams, one of my dear friends, John's an architect. If you don't like me or you don't trust me, talk to him. And let John tell you, and John tells you something different than me, you can crucify me. All right? Now, one of the problems with capital projects is how long they take. And it will make your head spin, even if you said, yes, this is a go, how long it takes to turn dirt. Now, I just want to give you an example of one of the things that we did when you sign contracts. So when I walked into the mayor's office, I had 300 contracts sitting on my desk that they didn't sign. They weren't right. They were upside down. They were wrong. And so the question got to be, if I could please, thank you. How long did it take for somebody to come up with an idea, write it down on a contract, move it all the way through the city, through this big organism, and then get it to the mayor's desk? The answer was 9 months. Now, we've taken that process, and it's taken us 463 days to do that, completely reorganized it, and now it takes 45 days, right? So when you're working through the process, it's very, very difficult. Now, the bad news is that people that were in line continue to wait until we fix that process, right? So sometimes we try to get it good. It's not nearly where we want it to be. And on the capital side, it's much worse. So, for example, let me just address a couple of brief issues. We talked about the work that's supposed to go across the street, and you said 2013 is too long to wait. I agree with you. And my instruction to Cedric is to move it up as fast as possible. It can go to the top of the list if we could get it there. John, you can explain to people why architects take so long to design stuff. I don't know. But it's one of those things that we push on every day, and the faster we can do it, the money is committed for the projects across the street, the money is there, we want it built sooner rather than later, and that's my instruction to my team, and it's coming. Now, I also want to say that although we are frustrated that we don't get as much as we need, all right, it is worth noting, and I just want to say this to you, and I don't want y'all to throw me out of here because I got thrown out of 3 meetings, and y'all not going to like what I'm going to tell you, but you got to hear it because y'all told me some things I didn't want to hear either. So can I, without getting punished? The other day we announced $45 million new dollars. New. Now, so Cedric's team, I want you to listen, met with FEMA 212 times. That's work. That's work. 212 times. And we began for the first time to get FEMA to start talking about streets. And the first place we talked about was Lower 9. And this was the first announcement for repaving streets in the city. This is $45 million. That's new money. That's not anything that was committed before. That's not anything that was on anybody's radar screen when we took for office. And Lower 9 is the first. So everybody here who said streets, this is going to happen. And Lower 9 is the first place where we're coming. And we're going to move this. Because I agree with the gentleman in the back, I'm sorry, I forgot his name, who said, if you don't have infrastructure, you got nothing. So I'm going to address some specific issues, but there were 3 or 4 people, right? And so I want you to, Cedric, you're here, and Marcia, would you stand up, St. Martin, from the Sewage and Water Board, who talked about, and this is a problem that the city has had for a long time. You dig up a street, you fix it, Sewage and Water Board comes behind you. Or Sewage and Water Board comes, they lay it down, they don't come back, and there's no coordination between the city and the Sewage and Water Board. So we got the legislature to change the law so Cedric now can sit on the Sewage and Water Board. So he runs infrastructure for the city. Then there's a Sewage and Water Board, which is a separate political subdivision. Now they meet all the time to deal with some of these issues. And so those of you that talked about specific things, I'm going to push you over to those 2 individuals to talk about the individual issues that y'all spoken about. So with that, let me, Professor, are you with me? In terms of New Orleans being a laboratory, right? That term, there's a term that's been written of since the beginning of time, since the beginning of the United States of America, where they said that states were the places where we innovate. They were called laboratories of democracy, right? And the idea there was that instead of the United States of America telling everybody on the local level what to do, everybody ought to be innovating on the ground and trying to find something that works that somebody else can use. So way back when, you remember that we had a 311 system and we had good customer service. When we came in office, we didn't really have one. So I had to find a city that had one. I had to go find some place that innovated. So I asked people, who's got the best customer service in the country? What do you want, right? What you need to be able to call City Hall. You need to get somebody on the phone, a real body, not a push 1, push 3, push 8, and then they hang up on you. Who's got the best system in the country? I found out Boston did. Right? So Boston was innovative. They were a laboratory for change. So I went to Boston. I sent Judy Reese Morse, my deputy chief of staff, right there. Deputy mayor and chief of staff went. And what they have when you go there is they have 10, 15 people who are from Boston. They sit in a room. And if you call them, right, and say, hi, this is Mrs. Jones. I want you to know that I'm standing on the corner of Galvez and whatever, and I want you to know a street light's out. They'll say, Miss Jones, thank you very much. We're going to get that taken care of. And when you hang up, they send you an email text and says, I just got it. Here's your tracking number. And that light's going to be fixed in 5 days. That's what they do in Boston. And that's what they do in New York. And that's what we want to do here. And so as we think about laboratories, what's happening in New Orleans, there's no other city in America right now that got hurt as bad as we are that's having to rebuild the fabric of their life. And so all the neighborhoods are creating things that nobody else in America has created, some good and some bad. That's where that notion comes from. So I don't consider it to be a negative notion, right? And that's my answer, number 1. Number 2, Federal City. You talked about General Mize. General Honore would be great. I love General Honore. He's my partner. And by the way, a young man, African-American gentleman named Brian Williams, was the head of Federal City until last week. And he got reassigned up to Virginia. He was the head of... Brian Harrison, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for correcting me. He's superb, and he was there, and he just left us last week. On the Inspector General, the idea there is you don't want anybody misspending the limited amount of money that we have. Now, if the Inspector General is not the right person to watch it, somebody else has to, right? Because somebody earlier talked about middlemen, right? And we want to make sure that the money gets to where it is. On Suno, I am against merging Suno and UNO. I said so publicly. I wrote a letter about it. I had meetings about it, and I participated in the conversation. That's a fact. Is that right, Charmaine and Wesley? On security districts in the master plan, that was done before I got there. That's a master planning process that the city's gone through. On the upper four, my team's here. I mean, this is my leadership team. This is it. And every one of them has authority over what they're doing. Now, the $2 million for Treme and Claiborne, I'm not wishy-washy on anything. I'm the one that asked for the grant because I want them to come back and tell me whether or not we can take down the Claiborne Expressway. And if they tell me that we can do it and it makes sense, I'm for it. That's not equivocal. I think that we ought to reunite those neighborhoods. You do understand, though, that you've got to do a traffic study because when you take it down, it's going to have an impact on how people get to and from wherever they're going. So now people have, well, this is the truth. Because when it got put up, it kind of cut in half two historic neighborhoods that should be linked back together. And it gave people the opportunity to move. So we've got to listen. Y'all wanted citizen input. I'm sorry? I'm sorry? No, but you asked me what my position was on it, right, Professor? So I'm giving you my position.
And I'm saying they don't want it.
Who don't want it? Who doesn't want it? You don't want it to come down? Okay. Okay. I can. Wait, hang on just a second. Wait. There are people of every different stripe and every different color in every different neighborhood that have a difference of opinion about whether that should come down. The reason why we're doing the study is to ask people what they want and whether it works. If everybody wants it and it works, we'll do it. If they don't, we won't. You can't have an opinion about something until you know what the status is. The idea, I'm sorry? Sure. No, I understand. The idea is that for the folks who say they want to take it down is to reconnect two historic African-American neighborhoods that were separated by the expressway. There are now, could I please finish? I just can just tell you what people tell me. And so you can shake your head if you don't like it, but just let me just finish if I could. The argument on the other side is if you take it down, people are not going to be able to get to and from work. That's why you do the studies, so people can know. All right? And on the public schools, everybody has a difference of opinion. Charter schools are public schools. There are some people who think the charter movement is good. Some people think they're bad. We're in the middle of that fight right now, right? Right? So Professor, you just asked me to, you said you didn't know where I stood. I just answered your questions. Could you? I appreciate it, and that's your opinion, and we got it. All right. Well, I'm trying. I'm gonna answer the questions if I can. So, Professor, thank you for that. All right, Patricia Jones, you gave me a lot of them. I don't know that I could hit all of them, but on the issue of the homes that were demolished where the holes are, Cedric, will you please talk to Patricia before she leaves, and Jeff as well. Civil service, the idea here, and just hear me out for a second. There was an article, a number of them, about what cities are doing and what kind of financial stress they're under. Civil service systems that are old and antiquated, right, kind of reward folks that don't do so well, and they don't reward folks that go to work that do well. And all you got to do is talk to people. And every now and then, you got to just clean it up a little bit, make it better, and put the incentives in the right place. That's all we're trying to do with civil service reform. And by the way, last year when we went through the budget crisis, we really did everything we could, and we never laid off people. We all furloughed. Everybody, including me, took a 10% pay cut because we wanted to make sure that we didn't fire people unless we absolutely have to. Every city in America right now, with this financial pressure and this gang we got in Washington, is under huge threat. And one of the gentlemen, and forgive me for not seeing you, maybe Mr. Alvin, you asked me this, if I got the person wrong. What is the impact of all this stuff in Washington going to be on our recovery funds? Now, I want y'all to pay attention here. This week, when that hurricane went up the East Coast, and they found out what a Category 1 was like, and they spent 2 weeks talking about it before it got there, and they followed everything else, all the folks, the congressmen are now coming out saying, well, we don't think that we ought to, pay for all that hurricane recovery stuff, and if they put more money in the hurricane recovery pot, they ought to cut someplace else. This is what they're saying. They're saying that they ought to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security and take that money and give it to the folks that got hurt by the hurricane. Now, we understand that better than anybody else, and if we let them happen, then all of a sudden the pot of money that our money's in is going to get smaller, and then they're going to come tell us, well, now you got to take less. Now, Senator Landrieu, who was here last week, is the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, and she on the TV said she's not going to let that happen. But this gang in Washington right now, in this thing that they're going through about cut, all that means is when it gets to the ground, cuts in service or increase in taxes. That's what that means. And we got to make sure that doesn't happen. So we're going to keep working on that. And Patricia, you asked us for an allocation. I'll get that to you because I know we can give it to you in writing. And yes, respect your plan. So let me say this. A lot of people talked about this community participation project. All right? Now, this is the 6th of 7 meetings that we had, and last year we had 7. Our new Orleans Economic Development Public-Private Partnership is open to the public that people go to. The Nord Commission meetings are open to the public. Blight Stat is open to the public. Crime. Let me finish, please. And if you I gave you all the courtesy. I gave you the courtesy of listening to everything that everybody said, and you asked me to respond to you, so I'm going to do that. Okay. The Citizen Participation Project has a price tag of $2 million attached to it. Now, I want money for grass cutting. I want money for streets. I want money for Nord. We created the Office of Neighborhood Engagement. Lucas, where are you? Stand up. Lucas Diaz runs this office. This office every day is talking to neighborhood leaders every day. Every one of the neighborhood leaders we talk to. The Citizen Participation Project has another method. They want you to give them $2 million to do their thing. And what I'm saying to you is there's a faster and a quicker and a more direct way. It's hard to get more direct than this. And cheaper. This don't cost anything. And this is the 7th meeting, and I was here last year, and I'll be here next year. Right? And then the city council is going to start meeting because I'm going to give them a piece of paper that has everything in writing on it, Professor. And then the budget hearings from October the 1st, you can go every day. And then they're going to vote on the budget. I mean, that's a pretty open process. Now, the Citizen Participation Group thinks they got a better one. I disagree with them. Now, if you can get 5 votes on the council, you can do whatever you want. But y'all asked me my opinion, and I'm telling you what I think works better. And I think this works pretty good. That's my opinion. If they can always do it better, but we can have neighborhood participation without spending $2 million on it. That's kind of my opinion about it. And I know Joe doesn't agree with me, but I'm sorry. I'm not. Y'all see y'all. I'm from Priya Street. I keep telling y'all that. Y'all keep saying he's from Uptown. I'm from Broadmoor. I'm from the 13th Ward. Just so y'all know. Y'all keep messing with me, and I understand. That's what y'all supposed to do. But don't be surprised. Like somebody said, I got a little street in me too. All right, Miss Elise Hamilton, failure to keep promises. Let me just mention this to you. I am not anywhere happy about where the city is as it relates to the lower 9th Ward. So I don't want you to think that I am. All right? But I just have to tell you, as somebody that's driving, got my hand on the wheel, right, with a lot of other people helping me, it takes way too long to get things done. But all I can tell you is that I am committed. I am committed to the lower 9th Ward. Now, as soon as I say that, my friend who left, her baby was in the hospital, how come you haven't been to Upper 9? And he's going to say that he came to the Upper 9. Well, you know what? We actually opened up the other day the Ellis Marcellus Center, which is one of the best centers in the world. In the Upper 9, and it's beautiful. If you want to talk about planting seeds, kind of grabbing your culture back, taking old folks, which he talked about, and putting them in a place where they can teach young folks. Am I telling the truth, Dean Milley? All right, that is a beautiful, beautiful center. Our team has been in the Upper 9, and I will go back. I promise you I will go back. And then as soon as that happens, everybody said, well, you're not coming out to the east. we go out to the east. We go as many places, and we will go until our tongues are hanging out that we can't go anymore because there's so many places to get to and not enough time. And we will honor our commitment. But if you're asking me today, if you would have asked me a year ago, Mitch, when you told us you were going to do that, can you promise me that it's going to be done in the next meeting? I would have said no. We can't get all of that done in the next meeting. I understand your frustration. So let's talk about grass for a minute because this is something that is important to understand and to know. One of the challenges is when Katrina came in and basically destroyed all of our property, not only here but everywhere. There was a green dot on my neighborhood too, by the way. It was a big green dot. What happened was when people didn't come back and the state took all of the LLT properties, our folks didn't come back to their property. All of a sudden, all that private property got to be yours. You own that property. You know how much money it costs to cut that property citywide? It costs about what? Andy, where are you? Jeff, how much does it cost if LLT, how much are they spending cutting? Yeah. I want y'all to think about that for a second. Number one, I'm going to talk about on that. Vanessa, would you please stop interrupting me? Would you please, as a courtesy to me, could I just ask you in front of all these people? I know, but would you please stop interrupting me? Would you please? You're not going to stop interrupting me. All right, I'm going to ask you as a courtesy one more time in front of all these people to please stop interrupting me. I'm going to talk about ONAP. If you would let me talk, I'll give you an answer. So if you would just please. All right. So I'm going to get to your questions. All right. So y'all, this is y'all's meeting. If y'all want Vanessa to talk, she can talk. If y'all want me to talk, I can talk. Well, y'all turn around. Y'all turn around and govern yourselves. Thank you, Vanessa. All right. So when you think about and I'm going to try this again. Vanessa, if you interrupt me again, I'm going to sit down. So y'all need to, all right? Thank you. When we talk about individual pieces of property, they are owned by property owners. They're not owned by the city. And one of the things that we're trying to do in Blight is make sure that with our new inspections, we get after them so they can. If they don't, we have to, and we have to pay for it. So the INAP program, thank you, is a program that we really looked at. We actually hired somebody. So, Mr. Mayor, where are you? Did you leave, Mr. Herwin? Mr. Henry, the name of the contractor is Bridgestone LLC for the INAP contract, all right? He's doing a terrible job, and we're going to fire him, all right? There's some issues in this city with the way contracts are done because if someone gets a contract under the public procurement policy and they sue you, they hold you up. Then we got to go spend another $2 million. That's what happened with Armstrong Park because AME got a piece of that and they had some issues with the law. Then we had to undo it. Then they put us in court. Now my job is to either say I'm going to spend $2 million more and take it from Nord, or we're going to fight them and try to do it. So the other thing that we're trying to piece together, and the gentleman in the back talked about this, is we have issues with teens not having work. We have issues about crime with reentry, so folks that have been, had served time but are coming back out. And so what I told these guys to do, Amy and Jeff, is to get together and to figure out how to put this INAP money together with employment so people from lower 9 can help in the lower 9. So we're launching this week, a program, and our goal is to do 3,000 cuts in lower 9 from now until November 11th. All right? We're going to hire 12 people. Thank you very much. We're going to hire 12 people but through Job 1. That's the program that we use this summer to hire 3,000 teens to get on that, and we're going to find an answer to this problem because it makes no sense to me if we got high grass that needs to be cut and we got people who need work and we got money, how come we can't put them together? At the end of the day, it's about the stream of revenue. And so we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that as we move forward. All right? So thank you very much for that courtesy and that time. All right. So Mr. Henry, so I'm backing up on these things. And I lost my place. There we go. All right, Ms. Hamilton, I did that. I just talked to you. All right, grocery stores, can we talk about that for a second? Because that's really important. So we have $6 million citywide to spend on fresh food markets. Lower 9 is one of our priorities. All right? It is our first priority. Now, what you need to tell me, Patricia, Vanessa, all of you other community leaders, is where do you want it? We have a number of different applications. We have some folks that have come forward and say they want to put it in the old Holy Cross site. We have some folks that say, no, that's too far away, right? All of that kind of stuff is consideration that we have to know and understand so that when we get through the application process, you come back to us and say, look, all things being equal, if we're going to redevelop Lower 9, what is our plan? What's our specific plan? Not just the, I want money. That's important, but you got to have a plan, because when you rebuild communities, and John will tell you this, an architect and master planners, where you put the body of capital investments that you make makes a determination about what goes there. So, for example, when we were talking about lawless and whether or not it ought to go where it is or whether it ought to go somewhere else, there was a community discussion, and everybody said, put it at the site where we determined to put it. Remember? You made that decision, but y'all thought about it. And then you told us where you want it. We need to know as we go through this fresh food initiative, right? And talk to our Department of Economic Development. Rod, are you with us? Whereas Rod is here, Amy is with us, all right? Fresh food, y'all talk to us about that so we can plug that in and use your thoughts, you know, about how to make that decision, because that's critically important as we go forward, all right? Okay, Billy Pickett, New Orleans Baptist Association. Dr. Karen DeSalvo is here, who's our health commissioner. Just last week, thank you, Karen, we sent a letter to the Department of Health and Human Services trying to work with the Daughters of Charity on the federally qualified health clinic proposal. Now, this is really unfair. When you go to every other state, they have a bunch of designations that they give to somebody, and if they call you an FQHC, a federally qualified health facility, it means they give you money and they help you. And New Orleans and Louisiana doesn't have anything close to that fair share because it's a closed determination process. They told us no just last week on that one. Now, maybe you guys have other stroke with them, but it makes perfect sense. Now, one of the things, Professor, that we have now that we did not have before Katrina was 80 primary health care clinics. So before, when the old charity was up and operating, all right, what happened was we all went there, right, and went to the emergency room because there wasn't a primary care clinic close enough to us. Now we have 80. We need more. But the idea is, yeah, and we absolutely need one here. The idea is to make sure that folks with minor illnesses get into, right, the primary care clinic so that you don't have to go wait 13 to 14 hours in the emergency room. Everybody remembers that, right? And so we need to work together on that, and I'll be happy to. Ms. Slack, the issue of prisons. Is the sheriff still with us? Okay, so we had a couple of different things. Before Katrina and before this sheriff took office, Sheriff Fody had 7,000 cells. We had 7,000 men in prison at Tulane and Broad. It was the largest prison in the United States of America, right? Largest urban one. Since that time, right, the size of that prison has been decreased by half. So I don't know exactly, Andy, you know exactly how many prisoners they have there? About somewhere between 3,000 and 3,400. You pay a certain amount a day for the sheriff to keep those prisoners. So he's fighting with FEMA too about what kind of reimbursement he's going to get to build back the buildings that were destroyed, because you remember all the prisoners got evacuated, remember? And we're in an argument with them about that. And Andy is leading the committee to determine how many new jail beds he needs. He thinks he needs more. Some members in the community thinks he needs less. They've come back and said you've greenlit to do 1,463, and we're arguing about what the difference is between the two. Now, it's important also, you raised the issue of per diem. How do we pay the sheriff? Right now, you pay him per day per prisoner. Some people say, well, if you pay him per day per prisoner and he wants more money, he's going to keep more prisoners. So why don't we create another different financial mechanism? The sheriff and I disagree with this. I don't want a per diem. He does. We're in an argument about it right now. He's an independent elected official, and the court may wind up solving it if we can't solve it amongst ourselves. But I'm trying to get the incentives right on that particular thing. So I thank you for raising that issue. Mr. Henry, cut your grass. All right, let's see. I'm hearing if there's one street that we do, it's Galvez. Now, I know we got to do a lot of them, but a whole bunch of people clapped when somebody said that. Was that accurate? All right. And the councilman says that it is. Mr. Irvin, I don't like snakes either. I hate them. Right? So mosquito and rodent control is here. We know that's a problem. Where's mosquito and rodent control? You see that young lady in the back? If you're having a specific issue. So last night we had some issues with coyotes out in New Orleans East and raccoons, right? But no two-headed snakes yet. That's the first thing, Mr. With horns. Two-headed snake with horns. If you... I want, no, but look, that's why we have these meetings. So would you please stand up again, and will you please see the mayor before he leaves? About that. And if you got, I hate armadillos too. All right. Mrs. Stand up so they can see you. Claudia Regal, mosquito and rodent control. All right. Mrs. Frazier, Justin Frazier. All right. Here's the thing. You don't want to hear this either, but this is the truth. I can't talk about why the hospital in the East didn't get built before I got here. I can tell you that since we got elected, we work on it every day. Within 60 days, we bought the building. We bought it for $23 million less than they wanted to buy it before. We have a board, right? The board is meeting every day. Ronnie Burns. Ronnie, would you please stand up? Ronnie Burns, businessman from District D, is the chairman of that board. Dr. DeSalvo is helping him with that. They're working on it every day. I asked them, how fast can you build that hospital? Tell me how fast you can do it. And the answer is 2013. Now, if they can build it faster, I want them to build it faster. In the meantime, we have opened up the urgent care facility. Dr. DeSalvo herself was there today seeing patients. We've seen 600 patients there in the last 3 weeks. So it's a good step. It's coming, and we're working hard on it. All right. John, I know you're mad at the Corps of Engineers because they're not talking about global warming. The Corps of Engineers does a lot of things we don't like. We obviously think there's a rise in sea levels because of the atmosphere, and we continue to talk to them about that, and we will going forward. All right. Let's see. Kim Robertson. Where's Kim? Are you with us? She left. Would you please stand up? So, Cedric, street lights, right here. And then on the sewage and water thing, I didn't really understand what you were telling me about water in your line, and you called Entergy. Is that Entergy or Surge and Water Board? I'm sorry. Oh, gas line. I'm sorry. Would you turn around? Look, all the folks from Entergy are right there. Would y'all please fix her problem for me? Thank you. Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you. I misheard you. All right. Chester Nevels. I'm sorry I missed you. We talked about Chester. We talked about infrastructure just a minute ago. And by the way, Councilmember Johnson, one of the first things he talked to me about when we had our first meeting was the need for DBE participation. We did not, in the city of New Orleans, have a DBE office of any significance. We have subsequently hired Norman Roussel to run that office, and he's working really, really hard. And he is instructed, and Cedric is instructed, and the Surge and Water Board is instructed to hit our DBE requirements, and they're working very, very hard on it. We have had a number of extensive meetings with every contractor that's working on the VA, that's working on LSU, that's working on the schools, and we have invited every minority contractor, every minority architect, every person, and said, look, to the guys that make decisions, don't tell me you can't find people from New Orleans who are women, minority, or local owned, because they're right here. And we're going to hold you to it, and we're working really hard on that. We're going to continue to fight until we get that right. All right, home dollars and CDBG dollars, exactly. Those are the exact ones that we can use to do that. All right, let's see. I talked about Kim. All right, Reverend Calhoun. He asked us about FEMA and cuts. I spoke to this issue. Anytime there is a contraction on the federal or state level, so when the governor says, I'm not raising taxes under any circumstances, and we're going to cut the budget, what happens, Professor? They say, I'm going to merge UNO and SUNO. When they say, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to cut the budget, you know what happens? The money to cut the LLT grants goes away. When they go on the federal level, say, we're not going to raise the debt ceiling, we're going to keep it low, the money for hurricane recovery goes away. That is a dagger at our throat. And we have to keep the professor's exactly right about this, because what they don't have to tell you that they're cutting the thing, all they got to do is take the money out the pot. And then guess what? They let us fight in these community meetings like we're the ones who are enemies. I'm not your enemy. This not where the fight is. The fight is in other places, and we're going to keep that up as well. All right. Let's see. HMK, you heard me about citizen participation. We have a principal disagreement about that. Yes, ma'am. I'll be happy to. And whoever wants to talk to me after, I'm staying after if you don't like my answer and you want to tell me something else. Bruce Williams, employment opportunities, as I spoke about that just a minute ago, critically important. Job one, economic development, Rod, Cedric, we're always making sure that people from New Orleans are trying to rebuild New Orleans. We have counsel about that all the time. Kathleen Thomas, the lower Ninth Ward is overdue. I agree. I completely agree. And we're committed to make that happen. Matilda, Tennessee, you talked about training for wastewater and with young people. I agree with you. I think we basically said Marcia's been a great partner for you. We want to continue to do this. We have a great opportunity here in New Orleans. I know this BP oil spill was another kick in our head, right? And the hurricane was too. But what it forced us to do is to start thinking about how we can live with water as opposed to against the water. And there's an entire industry that can be built up around that if we're smart. And the Surge and Water Board is doing some good work on that, and I think we can do better, especially in this particular area. And if you think about Lawless and where it's going to be and what it's immediately adjacent to, you can actually start making sure that part of the curriculum is kids understanding how the water works and how they're supposed to work with it and how they're supposed to be involved in it. All right. I want to answer, there was a specific question. Who is the COCO officer? Commander, where are you? Sergeant Frank, who's your COCO officer? Sergeant, that's your COCO officer. Somebody asked here? Well, somebody asked, they said, where's the COCO officer lower 9? Because we never see him. And so, wait. I'm just answering. Somebody asked who the COCO officer was because they never see him. So I want you to show him to him, and everybody else thinks he's awesome. So I want you to meet him, right? All right, good. All right, let's see. Another grass needs to be cut in INAP. That's Keith. Got it. Talked about it already. Okay. All right, we're getting there, you guys. Let's see. Marguerite Doyle Johnston. Will you come? Oh, she left already. That was a young lady whose child was sick. She said, will you come to Up and On? I've been to Up and On a ton of times. I'll absolutely go back. And I'll keep doing it. But every time I go to Up and On, people in Lower 9 say, why you don't come to Lower 9? When I was, the mayor saw me when we did a walk around in St. Roch. He came with me in the St. Roch neighborhood and said, don't go over by them Holy Cross people. And, right? You remember that, Mr. Mayor? All right. Vincent Wilson, feel like we're getting kicked in the head. We want input. You got it tonight. Can I say something to you? Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, which I guess is possible. But the subterranean fund, could y'all possibly be talking about the submerged roads program? Maybe we talking about, yeah, I think so. I'll tell y'all a funny story, but my grandma used to say, I want to go to the daffodil. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, camellia grow. I said, Grandma, I said, it's camellia grow. It's a state program. It's called the Submerged Roads Program, and it is not designed by neighborhood. All right, it has nothing to do with neighborhood. It's something that the state decided to put federal funds in, and roads all over the city are being rebuilt with that. The council member and I talked about submerged. Cedric, do we have any submerged roads in Lower 9th Ward? I'm sorry? Galvez, Claiborne, and is it part of the submerged program? And has it been done? Galvez is in the middle. But so what happened was these were state designated roads that were owned by the state. So Claiborne Avenue, for example, that people have talked about, is a state highway, not a city highway. And the answer is, Vanessa, I'm going to get to your question, but I want to ask specifically. You asked a specific. Is any of the other stuff of the two roads going to be deducted from the 45? The answer is no. It's not. That's brand new money. That's money that Cedric wrung out of FEMA when I told him put Lower 9 as a priority. So no, it's not a deduction to that. All right, Joe Friend, neighborhood participation. I addressed that issue already, and we're going to talk a little bit later. Michael Pellet. Michael, this is an excellent document. You here? Okay, I want you to, again, see Cedric and see Marcia. Marcia, I'm going to hand you this. Would you please stand up? I want you to meet Michael. Michael, would you please? Right, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it. She's fantastic. She's 8 feet. I'm not saying that. I'm bald-headed, and people tease me all the time about stuff, so I'm not teasing other people about you. Michael, would you please talk to Marcia, and I'm going to hand you this. It's an excellent document, and I understand it. All right, Vanessa, you had 2 shots. Vanessa got 2 shots at the apple, and so let me try to get through some of them. Where's the RTA? Justin, Vanessa had an issue about bus service on the barracks, right? Would you chit-chat with her about that? And no, yes. Would you please do that? All right, Vanessa, that's Justin. All right. Secondly, I want to tell you about a huge problem that we're going to have to think through together that affects everywhere in the city. Long-term interior streets, infrastructure, huge problem, right? So once we get past this, we got 1,600 miles of streets, Cedric, 1,600, right? That's a lot of streets. So that requires prioritization. What are we going to prioritize? Secondly, with the Sewage and Water Board, we continue to be in a day-to-day battle with FEMA because we believe it's our strong position that the storm broke the sewage system. Now, your sewer system, this is why y'all got water all over the place, and I know y'all think it's bad here. It's bad everywhere, all right? And the same exact complaint in every meeting that we go. When water starts dribbling out of that street and before you know it, nobody pays attention, and then we go on swimming. We're bleeding 40% of our water out of our pipes right now. All right, so I want y'all to think about that, 40%. And so we're fighting with FEMA every day to get the reimbursement we need. That's a big number. So we've decided to do it piecemeal, right? And we're asking them to go into different neighborhoods. And if there are 3 holes on a street within a certain distance, FEMA agrees to fix the pipe and fix the road. Cedric's running herd on that. Right? And so if you can get him whatever you think is available in the lower 9 that might fit into that, Patricia, Vanessa, you guys, if y'all can identify where those areas are, plug that in, and we fight with them. I tell you, we meet with him every day. He meets with him every 2 weeks. I meet with him every month, personally. And the guy from Dallas comes in here and talks to me and explains to me why FEMA can't do what we think they're supposed to do. Vanessa, you've complained about this a number of times. I don't know why we don't have this done. Jeff, the 2 houses across the street from Sam Boner, what do you know about them? All right, Vanessa, would you talk to him and then wait. And then would you please report back to me because I want those houses now. But wait 1 second. I know y'all saw me get in a fight with the guy that runs Treme, right? So I went to Taylor Playground and there were 4 houses across the street from the playground, which drove me crazy. They were going to fall down. This was a couple of weeks after the little girl got raped in the lower 9th Ward. And I said, we got to tear those houses down. Now, the preservation community came and said, you can't tear those houses down. I said, tear the damn houses down. They said, we're going to take you to court. I said, do what you got to do. We're going to tear those houses down. When there's an argument between preservation and public safety, it's got to come down. So I want you guys to know, we went back to FEMA, and this is new money. The deadline had passed. We went back and said, please change the deadline. They gave us $20 million to tear down 906 houses. Now, I want to tell y'all how crazy this is. We now have to go to the HDLC, Historic District Landmarks Commission, or the Neighborhood Conservation District or whatever, and ask them permission, one by one, to tear houses down. I don't like that process. I think that process now, look, we got great architecture in the city, and we ought to try to preserve our heritage and our culture. But to me, there are some clear answers about what's blighted and what's not. That's why we need help on the blighted program, and that's one of the reasons why it's gone so slow. It's not because we don't care. We're before the NCDC and the HDLC all the time asking them to give us permission to tear down houses because I don't have total authority as the mayor to do that. And Jeff is on that. So, Jeff, I need you to, would you please, because Ms. Geringer has talked about this a number of different times, and I'd like to know specifically about why we can't do it if we can't, and then if we can, how are we going to get that done? All right, let's see. Norbert, Mr. Rome. That was your second, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to get to your other one in a minute because you were in the front. Norbert Rome, Norbert makes an excellent point. Norbert says, aha, Mr. Mann, you got fancy pants. You saying you doubled the Nord's budget, but you just using last year. You're not using the year before Katrina. Well, that's true. I just got here last year. All I know is when I got here, Nord had a little bit of money. And I know I went and asked you what you want, and you told me you wanted more money. So NORD is the only budget that doubled. I mean, that's the one. That and police stayed where they were. NORD got twice as much. Everybody else got the same or got less. So, if you tell me that the budget was $10 million in 2005, I don't have any reason to disagree with you. I can find out. But if you're saying to me, you're not being completely truthful, because when you say you doubled the budget, it was from last year, not in 2005. I'm just telling you, when I found it, this is where it is. And this year, because you told me, this is where it is now. Now, if you guys wanted to go higher, again, this is all a matter of money. At the end of the day, you know this with our home budgets. You got X amount of dollars, and you got X amount of dollars to spend, and we have to allocate them. So if you want to spend $2 million, right, on the neighborhood community thing, and you want to spend more money on NORD, and you want to spend more money, my legislators now say this is a zero-sum game. You got to take it from somewhere. And guess what? You don't have to just tell me. You got 7 council members you need to convince. And so Councilmember Johnson, who is a passionate advocate, is going to be fighting for that money. But guess what? So is a council member from C, and so is a council member from A. And Norbert knows this. Contrary to popular belief out here, there is a place called Gertown, right? And there is a place called Backatown, and there's a place called Pigeontown, and there's a lot of other places, right? While it might not be the lower ninth, it don't look a whole lot different. Y'all understand what I'm saying? All right, so what I'm saying is all these council members go to battling, right? There's only an X amount of dollars. And so that's where that fight gets fought. And so I just would, ask you to consider that thought. All right, Vanessa, I know you frustrated. I know you mad at me. I don't know how you stay so mad so long. It takes a lot of energy. I wish you got more energy than a battery. You like to... Amen? Is that right? Woo! Lord have mercy. I thought I had a lot of energy. She put a battery to sleep, I'm telling you. All right. It's not fair to say that nothing has happened. It's absolutely true that not enough has happened fast enough. But it's not fair to say nothing has happened. My team's working hard. I like my team, right? We're working every day, and we're going to keep doing it, and I appreciate your advocacy. I appreciate all of your advocacy as well. Now, y'all talked a little bit about how, man, I don't like Surpass, but I like Goodley. How you like Surpass if you don't like Good? I mean, who you think picked him? Okay, I hear you. But that's like saying, no, but I want you to think about this. And you got all those commanders. How you think Goodley got to be a commander? I guess he is. Stand up. There he is. Give that young man a round of applause. Oh, I'm sorry. A pseudo graduate, too. And I want this young man to stand up, too. All right, you see that? Now, let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something about deputy mayors and commanders. All right? I don't know everything. Who is he? That's a young man who used to run the 2nd District, and now he's helping run the police department. Commander Albert. All right? He was, I want to say he's from Uptown, but y'all throw him out of here. So, I don't know how to run a city when I got elected mayor, right? I had never run a city before. We all act like we do, right? But unless you've been there, you don't know. So, Professor, when you go to law school and you don't know what you're doing, what do? You go ask somebody, right? Exactly. So you know what I did? I went and saw Mike Nutter. Y'all know who Michael Nutter is? He's the mayor of Philadelphia. He's a really good mayor. Been there for a long time. He's a cool guy. You ought to look him up, right? I went and asked Mayor Villaraigosa, who is the mayor of Los Angeles. I went and talked to the mayor of Chicago. I went and talked to the mayor of Boston. I went and talked to the mayor of New York. I went and talked to Kasim Reed, who's the mayor of Atlanta. I said, look, my city is organized. It's not working. How do you organize yourselves? He says, man, the deputy mayor system works. You know why? Because if you just have one chief administrative officer and one mayor, guess what? You only got one way to get to the mayor. Now you got 5 ways, and guess what? They have responsibility, and if they don't do it, they get fired. That's why that works. Now, when the chief came in to the department, I said, Chief, you got to turn the department around, right? And this was the structure that most good departments that turned around. Now, we got a department, I don't need to say this, we got great police officers, but we got a problem in our police department, right? Okay, the first thing, the number one thing I did after I talked to President Obama on Inauguration Day, the first thing that I did after I talked to him, because of my conversation, was called the Department of Justice, because we agreed that we were going to invite the Justice Department in and he was going to help us. And so nobody invites the Justice Department to come into their town. They usually run away when the Justice Department comes. But we didn't run away from it. We acknowledged it. And the Justice Department has been there every day. And we are going to turn this police department around. There is no way that Commander Albert, right, or Goodley, or any of those guys would have been able to transcend to the leadership in the department. I want you to look at them. They're young, right? That's the next generation if we didn't have the commander system. Because the system that we had before kind of protected the old guys, right? And guess what? I can't get rid of them now either because of civil service. So they're making all kinds of noise, and they're causing all kinds of trouble, right? I'm not worried. Y'all gonna blame me anyway. So I'm not worried about that. I'm talking about how to manage, right? And so this system works. And listen, we're not spending any more money than they spent before. We have a different system. I think it works. The proof will be in the pudding. 968 days from now, y'all don't like it, I'm out of here. Because y'all going to tell me to go, right? How am I counting? You want to know? I know exactly how many days I got left. So y'all not telling me anything. So let me just lay this out there. Vanessa, when you point your finger at me and y'all tell me, oh, you better do what we want or you may go, I may be gone anyway. And you be happy. I may not offer myself again. So nah. So that kind of stuff, that kind of stuff, let me just say this to y'all, just so y'all know me. That kind of stuff don't work with me. I'm going to just tell y'all how it works. If y'all want to work, I want to work with you. Be constructive. Give me an answer. Work with me. You yell at me, you threaten me, you know what? Shoot. It just is what it is. It goes in and it just rolls off my back. So we gotta find a way to talk. But all that stuff about you're not going to get elected again, I mean, you know what? All I know is y'all gave me a 4-year term. And I know you my boss. And I work for you. And if you don't like me, you're going to send me away, right, babe? You told me that, right? I hear you. I hear you. All right. So Vanessa, I did that. I got you. I got both of yours. All right. That was very sneaky. Vanessa and I have been fighting. Last year, Vanessa, you would have one of the first people that stood up here, and we've been batted for a whole year. And we're going to keep, no, ma'am, you can't. It's my turn. No, you done had twice. No. You don't have twice. No. 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 Oh, yeah. But no. All right, Joe Ricasna. Joe, streets, police, killing. We give you information and you don't listen. We watch it go. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm here. We're listening. We're working. I think we listened last year. We changed the budget because of it. We got a balanced budget, right? We're not relying on all these federal funds. We're trying to get it to where we pay as we go, and we're working on it. Elizabeth Owen, jail size, 1438 is the number right now. It's going to change. The question is how high it's going to go or how low it's going to stay. We got to have that discussion. The sheriff is not here, so we're not going to talk about it tonight, but we're going to have a public discussion about that going forward. Fabiana Thomas. 5700 block of Dauphine, 4 blighted houses. Jeff, Fabiana, are you still with us? All right, Jeff, would you please see him? All right, and talk to him. And Jeff, would you report back to me about that? Also, you talked about high grass. You talked about critters. Stand up, critter. Where'd she go? Claudia, where are you? Claudia, you see Claudia in the back? That's the critter lady. So if y'all can do that. All right, Miss McFadden. Pete Sanchez and the fire station. You have the dates. They're too far away. We're going to try to make it go faster. Cedric, would you work with me? Because this is not just here. How many times have we talked about that, right? So we got now, one of the challenges, because we're not in an emergency, right? So I'm going to just give you a little bit of why things slow down. Vanessa and other people say, man, look, you better let the people of New Orleans build New Orleans, and you better get DBE involved, all right? That takes time. Procurement takes time. Now, if we were in an emergency and I could sign one of them fast contracts, right, and we didn't have to worry about all kinds of stuff, maybe you could build it tomorrow. But they won't let me because that Inspector General watches me too. I'm just rules, right? And the procurement rules are designed so that I don't get to give contracts to people because they're my friend, but they got to know what they're doing. And then the DBE thing, it's all important, and it all adds lengths of time. to those kind of contracts. I want to get them done faster, and anything I can do, I will do that. All right, we're down to number 1. Ms. Janet Haynes, stop giving developers money. Stop grandiose schemes to LSU and VA. Where are you? Did you leave? You did not leave. This girl has been following me around. She stands closer to me than Vanessa does. She done been to every meeting, so she and I have a disagreement. I should have known. Y'all probably haven't. I know where y'all have coffee too. Y'all got a new coffee house. Nah, you see, you didn't think I knew that, huh? You told people you eat coffee, you drink coffee off of Esplanade by City Park? There you go. Get your coffee house in Lower 9. All right, so she and I have a disagreement. And Professor, you want to know my answer to this question. I don't want to put the old charity hospital back like it was. I want to build, you and I just have a disagreement about this. I want to build a new center of excellence. I want to build a state-of-the-art hospital in partnership with the VA that will give us the opportunity to create 10,000 jobs and put people to work. So I want you to think about, this is true about Lower 9, but I'm going to make this connection because it's in close proximity. In the new Lafitte housing development, we know everybody that's in there, that's living there. We know their names. We know who they are, right? We know how old they are. We know how many kids they have, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I want you to think about this. Right down the street, 3 blocks, okay, is where the LSU system is going to go, and then right across the street is where the Veterans Administration Hospital is going to go. This hospital is coming out of the ground as we speak. It's the first hospital that the federal government has built for veterans in the last 30 years, and they're building it in New Orleans. It's a $2 billion project. We know, our economic people know, what kind of jobs they're going to be in there. Now, you know the high-end jobs, right? They have executives and they have doctors, but guess what? They also have med techs, they have nurses, they have phlebotomists, and by the way, the folks that build it, et cetera, et cetera. And so what we're doing is we're creating a pipeline for job training for folks that live in the housing developments and live in the neighborhoods with Delgado, and training them for jobs that we already know are going to be there in 2 years. All right, that's what we're doing there. Now, folks have a different opinion about what we should build. They think we should build it smaller. I think we should build it bigger. They think we should invest in the old buildings. I think we should build new buildings. They want us to spend $500 million or $600 million or whatever. I want to spend $1.2 billion, right? It's important. But, by the way, we don't have all of the money for that either. Just like in the East, we're putting the financing plan together. All of those things take time. And we're in the process of doing it. But it is the dream of what you can build and the possibility and the transformational nature of that project. We just have a disagreement about it, and we're never going to get together on it because she wants to go that way and I want to go this way. So that's what I'm doing. All right? Now, in terms of avoiding the middlemen, this is an issue of she's not completely wrong about this, and there are certain circumstances where you could be right. You got to figure it out. But private-public partnerships, partnerships with the faith-based community, partnerships with not-for-profits are critically important, and you always have to make sure you don't waste a dollar. All right? There's some instances where the private sector does it better than the government. There's some instances where we do it much better than them. And trying to find out where that is and how that works and how you leverage assets and how much money you have and that you can bring to the table. John can allude to this because when we're building public projects now, they have things called new market tax credits, go-zone tax credits that the private developers will come in and use, and you can't access them if you're just using the government. So you've got to find the right. But she's correct, and this is where the IG comes in, if for some reason you got middlemen that are doing nothing, right? So you're with me. So that, Professor, how'd I do? Oh, I didn't ask you to say something. Y'all getting together. You can't. Do y'all want? No, I'm gonna let y'all do it. All right. So I answered every question. Oh. Professor, please. Professor. I know. That's what the rules are, and we have to honor them. In any event, thank you so much. I thank you for coming out tonight. With the inmates. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. All right. On the inmates, That is something we always try to do. We're in negotiation with the sheriff on the size of the jail and a bunch of other stuff. We're working with the state to help state inmates and inmate labor clean the highways, and we're going to continue to do that, and we're going to explore that with the sheriff, especially about cleaning, all right, the ninth. All right, we are done. I thank you. Please come to the budget hearings. They start on October 1st, and we will be in touch with you. God bless you all. Thank you.